The ocean is filled with so much diversity, but the field that studies it, not so much. Marine science is largely dominated by men. Women account for just 30% of its researchers around the world, according to a UN report, and women of color are especially underrepresented. A group of young black female scientists is working to change all that with a new organization called Minorities in Shark Sciences, or MISS, that aims to create a supportive community and take action to engage young women of color to get interested in marine science.
Tackling the old guard and confronting the status quo head on, which is a little scary, but also we feel very strongly that all of us putting our voices together is the only way that we can do that. We decided not just to create a community, but to push for change in marine science and shark science specifically, to kind of carve out our space in shark science so that everyone that comes after us feels like they belong there.
Established earlier this year, MIST is working to remove the hurdles that women from minority groups have faced in their careers, like dealing with racial stereotypes that can keep many potential scientists from committing to marine science.
I would do presentations. I'm pretty good at presentations, and I would get a lot of people coming up to me and saying, wow, like you're so articulate. And I'm like, that's not really what I was hoping you'd comment on.
You know, I've had people tell me that I've gotten scholarships because of affirmative action. I've had people make jokes like, oh, LOL, but black people can't swim. How are you going to work with sharks? And I'm like, this is why. This is so like completely unnecessary.
The best thing about MISS is that the more that their membership grows, the more it shows other potential young scientists that there are other people in the field that look like them, which is actually how MISS was founded in the first place. The 4 founding members found each other in the spring through the Twitter hashtag BlackBirders after a black bird enthusiast had the cops called on him by a white woman in New York. And it caught the attention of other black people who study nature, and these shark enthusiasts were happy to find each other.
I was like losing my mind for a couple days when I was like, oh my gosh, there's other people who look like me, who study sharks, and I never see them anywhere. And now I found them in this hashtag on Twitter.
I mean, you're scrolling through Twitter and you suddenly see someone that looks like you doing what you do, and it's the first time you've seen that, and you like stop everything. What? Another black woman in shark science? That's wild. None of us realized how alone we felt until we didn't feel alone anymore.
The group has over 150 members in 15 countries, and having so many minority women represented can serve as a visual inspiration of representation in a field that is dominated by white men. Something these women have had to overcome early in their careers.
I think a lot of it is like psychological. Not seeing people that look like me doing it makes me feel weird. Like, oh, why don't people that look like me do this? Is there a reason? And so it leads to like imposter syndrome of not feeling like you belong in a place.
And it just like brings me joy to think that there's some little girl out there who probably looked at the website and was like, this person's doing shark research and they look like me and this is so cool. Now I like have someone that I can look up to. People want someone to look up to and be like, oh, like there's another person like me in there. Okay, like I feel comfortable going into that field.
And it isn't just about representation. Many young women of color do not have the same opportunities to pursue a career in science, and MISS is raising funds and collaborating with other organizations to overcome this financial barrier. Free workshops, paying for internships, and other opportunities. They want to forge paths for these underserved students to follow their dreams.
A lot of times you have certain communities of people, certain school systems that are getting all of the resources, and then there's other school systems that are kind of left behind, and there's a lot of underserved communities where students just aren't being reached. And if they had the same access to opportunities, they would join science at the same rate as their counterparts.
We want to be able to open up some opportunities, break down both social and financial barriers, because we know that people can't necessarily always afford to do unpaid internships, let alone pay to get experience.
It's hard to do marine science because a lot of opportunities aren't paid, or they expect you to pay, or you have to like uproot your life to go move somewhere for a program that does pay, but maybe you don't have the ability to move across the country for 10 weeks to do something. And so we all kind of established that it was really important to us to at least try to knock down some of the financial barrier.
So why is diversity so important in marine science? It's about giving everybody a chance for sure, but there's a lot more that diversity brings to the table. I'll let Carly explain.
So diversity in general, you don't just get diverse colors of your skin, you get diverse life experiences, you get diverse ways of thinking. The way I think isn't going to be the same way as someone else thinks. The way I approach things isn't going to be the same way that other people approach things. And just having diverse minds in general pushes science forward.
You can hear more about MIST and their mission to bring women of color into ocean research on the Shark Tales podcast, found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts.